The following program is suitable for general audience of any age. We would like to remind our viewers that the views expressed in this program by our participating guests are solely viewpoints of them who take part and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network.
Good evening and welcome to a brand new episode of Gen XYZ, and on this episode we are here with a very renowned female DJ in Sri Lanka, and we're here to discuss about her life and how the youth can get into this industry. Thank you so much, Ms Iman Cader, for being a part of this show.
How are you doing? Having me. I'm good. Great.
My first question, I want to dive straight into it. Where did your love for music come from and how did you get into this field?
My love for music stems from my early days. As a younger girl, I was very passionate about music. I even had a little song book. And you know how back in the day we didn't really have YouTube or we didn't really have easy access to music. So I'd have to wait till I heard my favorite song on the TV and I'd listen every time and I'd write the lyrics down just so that I could memorize that song because I was so in love with the whole concept of music. And when it comes to DJing, or this field rather, how I got into it was I realized that one day I was actually at an event and then I realized, oh my God, there are we've had a lineup of artists playing at a rate for about 15 plus hours, right? Almost more than 2 days maybe. And not one female was up on that stage playing, and it kind of made me question as to why. And that question is what led me to get into that industry and into this profession rather.
And since you said you had this sort of love for music since you were a child, were your parents supportive of, you going into this field, or were there issues?
I think me as an individual, I'm someone, all my close friends know this, I always say I do what I want because I am someone who has so much of self-belief. So I didn't really need their support, or I didn't really need my friend's support. I didn't really need anyone's emotional support because emotionally I was always backing myself up. But initially, no. Let me answer that question straight. They weren't very supportive. Obviously, they had concerns because as a female stepping into this industry, my working hours were very, crazy.
Weird.
And then they were like, is this something you should be doing? But I think with time, they realized that, okay, she's actually making a change and she's kind of making a ripple in this industry. So when they kind of realized that for themselves, they were completely fine. And even my mom, I played an international gig this year in Maldives and I had the opportunity to actually take her with me. So she saw the work that I was doing, and I think in that moment, she completely understood, okay, this is where she's going with her career.
And for those for the people that want to get into this field, for the youth, right? Maybe other girls who see you as an idol and want to follow in your footsteps, maybe they do need the support of their parents. What would you do then? And they're not obviously supportive of this. What do they do then?
That's a tough question.
Yes.
Because like I said, I didn't really look for an outer source of support because that stemmed from within me. Let's say a girl is passionate about music. She wants to be a DJ. For me, DJing wasn't my first option, right? Because my career initially started as a model, then I got into content creation, and all while also educating myself. So I have my degree. So I think when I eventually wanted to pursue being a DJ, it wasn't a sudden thing or something crazy because I had something to fall back on. For example, if my DJing doesn't work out, tomorrow I'd be able to walk into a company, get an interview, and start another career entirely, an entirely new career. So I would suggest for anyone, not only girls, even for young guys or girls who are trying to pursue this profession rather, always have a backup plan. Because sometimes it may work, it may not work out, because right now the industry is extremely competitive because everyone is getting into music, everyone is getting into the profession of being a DJ, and you always need to have a backup plan, and in life it's generally good to have a backup plan. So for them, I guess, try to convince your parents that, you know, this is something you're passionate about. And I think a way that they would be convinced is if you show them that you're passionate about it. Like, you can't just say, oh, I want to be a DJ and then just let it go. You'd have to pursue it, you know, go, start watching, start watching YouTube videos, start producing, maybe produce a few tracks and show it to your parents. Look what I did, you know, and then they might also believe in you and kind of be okay with that.
Now we know in Sri Lanka, most parents are very conservative. Were your parents also conservative?
Extremely conservative. Extremely conservative.
So it did affect, but obviously because you said you were actually a model before, there was some sort of leniency.
No, because actually I actually stepped out on my own when I was 18. So I decided to kind of take that step back because, like I said, I have a lot of self-belief. So I knew that I was meant for much bigger things in life than to be constricted in a specific space or a certain role. And which I think is great. If someone wants to do that, that's fine. But for me, I felt like I was meant for bigger things. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to experience things. I wanted to live life, you know. And so stepping out of my home was a big step. It was scary. It was like I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know what would go wrong. But I still took that risk because I had so much of self-belief and I had so much of passion that I wanted to live. You know, not just exist.
And that's, I think, what maybe propelled you so far in this industry as well. The fact that you believed in yourself, and I think it shows, right? It sort of sends the vibrations through, and it affects the way people see you as well. And now you're also known for your Afro House sets.
Yes.
Has it worked? Now, getting into a more technical sort of question, has it worked so far in Sri Lanka? Because I know that a lot of, like, you know, when you go clubbing and everything, it's a very mundane, sort of very similar set that almost most DJs use.
If you take the clubbing industry in Sri Lanka, right? Realistically, this is spoken throughout all age groups, right? You very rarely see DJs in clubs making a shift in their music. Like, you'd walk into a club and you'll still be hearing music from 15 years ago. Like, the issue is, even if the DJs want to be updated, right? If they want to play new music, it's not a possibility because the people coming into the club still want to listen to that ancient music. Right? Which is why personally a lot of friends that I know who are extremely great DJs, they couldn't even stay in Sri Lanka. They've left, and I'm glad because people, when you go to countries abroad like Dubai, when you go to the clubbing scene there, the DJs never play the same music. Like, you would never hear the same music you played today. If you go to the club tomorrow, you'd never hear the same music. So I think
when sometimes here in Sri Lanka you hear the same thing
in the same night. In the same night, and I'm like, I just heard this, but it's okay, you know, you just want to have a good time. But that's the issue with me. This is why I don't, sometimes it's very rare that I take on club gigs, because I don't want to be constricted and I don't want to be told what to play. Because as a DJ, you're an artist, right? When my creative freedom is kind of hacked down, I wouldn't feel happy. I wouldn't enjoy that. And actually, there's no point doing it for the money, right? Because this is a profession of creativity, and your job or your role as a DJ is to introduce people to new music, right? Because they're not going to go look for that music, right? Sometimes they wouldn't even know this music existed. Like, there are times, I'm pretty sure you went through it, you heard a song in the club, you're like, oh my God, I really like that song. What is that song, right? So that's your job as a DJ. And it's to create music, it's to play music that people wouldn't otherwise listen to. So, yeah.
So Afro House sets have had a good reception here in Sri Lanka.
When I initially started with the Afro House thing, it wasn't big at all, right? People weren't listening to it. And then there was a sudden boom, like I think on TikTok when Kind Music had Move, right?
Yes.
We all know that song. Move went viral, and then Afro House kind of became this surge, or rather there was this massive community that it became very popular. And even in Sri Lanka, people started listening to it. And so much so to the extent, I think recently there was an event, a major Afro House event. They brought down Sistek to Sri Lanka, who is a very big Afro House artist. And Afro Safari, this event was at Cinnamon Live. Amazing event. And I was so happy to see the number of people that showed up to listen to Afro House artists. It was an entirely Afro House artist lineup. And I think it was crazy, nice. I was very happy to see that. And I hope in the future there are events, because now what's happening is people are trying to diversify their lineups. So they're not predominantly sticking to progressive or house or tech house. When they make a lineup or curate a lineup, it's a mix of artists from different genres, so that anyone attending the event has a variety of music that they'll hear throughout that experience. So I think it's great. And Afro House is definitely making waves, and we are going to be seeing a lot of more Afro House events in the future, hopefully.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think another thing that I want to talk about is, because you said partially the reason that most DJs don't like to go out of their bubble and introduce new music is also because they think that people want to hear the same songs, which is sort of true also. So the best way then to make this change would be to go out of your way and include some of these new types and styles of music in their sets, right?
Yes.
And what have you done that as of yet? Or?
I think even for me, when I started initially, right, I had people come up to me, DJs, event organizers, multiple people. This is initially at the inception. They came, they're like, Iman, why don't you try playing this type of music instead of Afro House? You know, this is what's trending at the moment. If you do this, maybe it'll be easier for you to kind of gain a name within the community. And I found this, I actually took offense in it, right? Because I said, respectfully, please don't tell me what to play, because I play what I like. Right? When I play Afro House music, if you've seen me play, I'm always full of energy. I resonate with my music so much, right? I resonate with the fact that I can move. There's a lot of drums, there's a lot of beats. So it makes me happy. And I think in a whole, these people, when they came and told me these things, I said, look, no, I'm going to play what I want, because I believe that Afro House is someday going to make waves. And it is.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So it has worked out for you.
Yeah, it has worked out amazingly.
And now you mentioned how you like to do a lot of things, like you make your own decisions. No one gets to tell you how you do. And I'm pretty sure you've faced a lot of backlash for it, because especially when you're young, when you're a woman, we know the amount of control people try to have over us. So what have you gone through, and how have you overcome those things?
Like I mentioned just now, there were certain times when I was stepping into the industry, there were organizers, there were DJs who would actually try to put me down solely for being a woman. Mm-hmm. They tried to get me out of lineups. There was a lot of stuff that I had to go through. It's something I call misogyny on the dance floor, right? It's crazy. I've seen it, right? I've seen it. Like, for example, I'd play a song that another male DJ would play, and the reaction would be completely different. But it's the same song. It's the same track. But the reaction is different. Why? Because it's a woman playing it, right? But this is something I've seen change. Initially, this was the problem. But now with time, since the industry has seen a major change and people are more accepting, and even with me, after making several international appearances throughout the years, I think they've kind of realized that, okay, these girls can do something, right? And not just me, there are other female artists as well who are doing amazing things. So I think...
and I actually want to get into depth into all the things you've done, like the achievements, because I know you've done some crazy, new for our country, let's say. And I want to dive into that in the next break, but we have to unfortunately take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on Gen XYZ. Welcome back to Gen XYZ, and we are here at Arcadia in Battaramula. And as you can see, it has some amazing greenery, and the food is amazing, and the portions are huge. So definitely check this place out. But we are here with Ms Iman Cader, and we were actually, we were talking about the struggles you actually go through when you're a woman and you're so young into the industry, especially when you don't have experience as well. The amount of challenges and the people that have rejected you. How did you overcome it?
I think it's like you said, being a woman and when you're much younger, people always think that they could people think you're desperate for exposure or desperate for the opportunity. But with me, thankfully, I wasn't like that. I always stood my ground. I always knew what I wanted. And even with, when you take the DJing industry, right? Like I said, it was a bit difficult for me because there have been people who've tried to take opportunities away from me, people who've tried to tell me what to do or what music to play or how to build my brand. But again, coming back to the point that I mentioned, when you're someone who has so much of self-confidence in yourself and believe rather in the brand that you're trying to build, I think the first thing you should avoid is listening to anyone else's opinion, right? And this applies to, like you said, being a girl also.
Just in general.
Just in general, like never really rely on someone else to know what's best for you, because our intuition is something that we need to really rely on and trust rather, because deep down within us, we already know what we want, but we're all a bit scared to kind of pursue that. So that's the truth of it.
And I think that's great that, despite all the hardships, whatever said and done, you've sort of pursued and persevered.
Yes.
And now I want to get into a bit of the technical aspect as well in this industry. A lot of people, when they talk about or when they think about DJs, they think only the clubbing, right? But you just mentioned actually prior to this interview that there's actually a much bigger picture. There are other, sort of fields within the industry that you can go into.
There's actually a completely different side, because if you take music, the music we hear in clubs is very mainstream, right? You get like R&B, hip hop, a bit of Afrobeat, but there's a completely different side when you take the underground community in Sri Lanka, which is massive. It's massive. People don't realize it. Do you know that there are events here in Sri Lanka that pull 12,000, 10,000 plus people into one area just for underground events? For example, one such notable company is Yaga, All Day Music. These guys are doing like incredible jobs, Flying Dust. These companies are doing amazing jobs, pulling in incredible crowds of people who all unite to listen and share music and share the love of music, which I think is a huge up for Sri Lanka. Because when you take Sri Lanka, we're such a tropical country and we're so well positioned geographically also. And I think if we take music and kind of bind that even with our tourism, there's so much that we can do, because in Sri Lanka, even in the underground community, we have such talented DJs who are making waves not only locally but also internationally, so I think.
And what are some of these notable, because I wanted to get into the achievements as I mentioned, what are some of these notable events that you've performed at?
If you take notable events that I've performed at, I think every event is special to me. Right? I don't put one above the other, because for me, if I'm performing for a crowd of 1,000 people or a crowd of 50 or 15 people rather, I'd still give my best, right? Because like I mentioned, I play music that I like, that I resonate with, that I have fun. So naturally, when you are enjoying yourself as an artist, no, it does matter, but when you're enjoying yourself as an artist, the people watching you also naturally enjoy themselves as well, right? So I wouldn't put one event above the other.
But has there been something that you've wanted for so long and you did get it, like a dream of yours to perform maybe at a place or abroad?
So crazily, when I in 2024 in December, right, I made a list of things that I would like to do, and I think this is something we all do, na? We kind of make like a vision board, okay, for the next year. And when I did put down that I want to travel and I want to play. I said I want to play 3 international gigs, right? And by then I hadn't played an international gig since 2023, which was my first debut in Dubai, right? And crazily, the countries that I mentioned were Japan, Maldives, and another country that I personally want to travel to. And what's wild, see, this is how manifestation works, right? And when you believe in yourself, I made my debuts in Japan, I made my debuts in Maldives. Just in a couple of days, I'm making my debut in Italy, in Milan, in Europe, which is crazy for me. And I'm very appreciative and proud of the journey that I have come on. Yeah.
So that's something you would consider very notable and like a
definitely.
milestone.
It's been a milestone not only for me. It's a milestone for other female DJs in the industry as well, because it's kind of a stepping stone even for them, right?
It's something that they can sort of.
Yeah. When someone does it, you kind of. It's an eye opener that okay, I can do it as well. So I hope they take it as motivation, and because I would love to see other female artists stepping up onto international stages, stepping up onto lineups. And something personally that irritates me is when I see lineups full of men, right? And especially now, because we have many female artists, not just me, there's so many other female artists. So my question is, why can't you have one of them? And these artists all perform in different genres. You have artists playing progressive house, you got artists playing melodic house, you got artists playing tech house. So there is no need for you to not have a female DJ on your lineup.
And that was going to be actually my next question. Has the amount of women going into this field sort of increased since you joined it?
Definitely. 100%.
Do you think you're a contributing factor?
When I started, there have been female DJs in the past, but none of them really continued or kind of built their brand around it.
But is it possible it's because of the constant challenges?
So yes, definitely, because they, from what I know, they had to face many challenges as well. And I can't really speak on that because I don't know what they went through personally. But there are notable DJs who were there in the past as well, but they didn't really continue and they didn't step into an international stage, or they didn't step into like a bigger arena. But there are female DJs now who, like, we've seen a vast increase in numbers of female DJs, and I'm so happy. To be honest, I'm really happy because it's nice, and so, let's say, for example, I go for an event and there's another female DJ on the lineup. I would love to just hang out with her at the event, because if not, I'd have to hang out with a bunch of boys, right? Which is all right, but it's nice to have a girl gang around. So, yeah.
And that's a good thing that, women are going more into
definitely.
this. Now, because you said that there are some women who haven't really gone international. It's just like every other job. Even in this profession, it's very easy for you to go through like a block, a point where you're stuck in this place where you can't go higher.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you yet? And how have you gotten out of it?
No. Actually, touch wood, it hasn't happened to me. But
if it has happened to other people, how would they get out of it?
Because it happened to me when I was in a certain profession, right? Because, for example, with my modeling, I started at a very young age when I was 18, and then I went through pageants. I have walked fashion shows. I've worked with very big brands within Colombo in Sri Lanka, and when I noticed after a certain time that I wasn't as passionate as I was when I initially started. So then I realized I need to be true to myself and kind of make a shift and go towards and pursue something that I'm more passionate about. So even with these other girls, right, one thing that I'll always say is be true to yourself. Always understand that, okay, if I'm passionate about it, go for it. Don't let anyone stop you, right? But also focus on building your brand as a whole, because you need to remember that you are a brand. You are no longer a person, you're a brand. So everything that you do affects your brand. So when you look at it from that perspective, and tiny things, from the way you dress, from the way you talk, from the way you carry yourself out in public, everything is going to reflect back on your brand. So that is something to keep in mind for all the girls.
And so you mentioned that, maybe getting into this field, since it's a bit difficult, you maybe you start producing music and you sort of show it around. Is that the way you sort of break into this industry?
It would, for me, I already had a very big influence in the industry, because before I started DJing, I used to be I used to go for all the events. So I already knew the community, and at that time the community was extremely small. It was extremely small. It wasn't as big as it is now, but I knew everyone very closely, very personally. I knew the DJs very personally. I knew the event organizers very personally. So for me, making my break into the industry was actually relatively easy, because they already knew me on a personal level. So they knew that I was anyway persevering as a person. And I remember even when I played my first gig, this was for Pirates, right? The owner, he told me, one of the main organizers, he said, Iman, don't stop here. Like, you got to go. And he's like, I know you've got what it takes to go to that level. And even when I met him recently, he said, you've done it. Like, I remember saying that to you, and you've done it, which is great. So, yeah.
So for those of them who maybe, so you would say then to get to know people who go for these events?
I think socializing is a huge part of our profession. Networking, socializing, because you can produce some amazing music, and you can kind of break through with that. There are many artists who have done that, not only locally, they've broken into international, into the international market as well. But I feel a more important side of it is definitely your network. Your network is your net worth, right? So you need to network, you need to get to know people, you need to kind of be a part of, because it is a community at the end of the day. And you can't kind of be away from the community and try to proclaim a place in it. So that's there.
And now talking about the international arena versus the local scene, I actually want to get into it in depth, but on like a very short I want to know which is better, which one do you prefer? Or because you said you enjoy wherever you perform, right? But obviously there's a shift in the narrative people have in the way they perceive music, with the way they receive. What's better?
For me personally, I can't choose one. Like I said, I wouldn't pick one, because I am a proud Sri Lankan. I'm like the Sri Lankan to the core. Like, I need my rice and curry every day, like that Sri Lankan. So I love my country, which is why I said Sri Lanka as a whole has so much of potential. We're just not there yet. If we were to tie music and the tourism industry, we would peak other than other countries actually. But internationally also I enjoy it, because people receive the genre of music I play so much better there, right? Because like I said, they're more updated with their music. They are more, they've kind of realized that we don't need to stick into a certain genre. They're open to new genres of music. They're open to listening to new type of music. Whereas I would say, in my opinion, within Sri Lanka, people's taste is more kind of streamlined to one specific genre, but you do get communities of people who go into other music. Like we had Boiler Room in Sri Lanka, which is crazy, which is a huge ups. But so you get communities like that who divulge into other genres of music as well, but predominantly they are very stuck on a specific genre. But yeah, I think both international and locally I enjoy playing, because I enjoy the music I play, and I enjoy when I have the chance to get other people to expose to the music that I play.
I want to get further into the industry itself and how it functions and how we can navigate through this. But until then, we are here at Arcadia Cafe and Restaurant in Bathurumala, which is very aesthetically pleasing and visually pleasing, but it also pleases your taste buds. So definitely come check it out. But this is Gen XYZ. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Welcome back to another episode of Gen XYZ, and we're here with Ms Iman Cader. And I actually wanted to dive in very technical, thing about the whole industry of DJing. Does it pay well? Now, because a lot of things, it depends on the gigs you get, I understand. But now for the youth, because right now there's a bit of a conundrum about where to find jobs, right? The youth is a bit stuck in between finding creative jobs versus actually finding jobs. So how do they go about it?
Okay, when it comes to making money with music, right? Obviously, when you take producers can make music in multiple ways, right? You have producers who make music, then they also they do the production for TV commercials, they do the production for movies, they do productions for various different media, right? Or media outlets. And when you take underground artists or producers, some of them don't only produce, a lot of people don't know this, some of them don't only produce tracks or underground music, they actually produce for normal artists as well, right? They produce for rappers, they produce for singers, but that's because music is music, right? That's the production side. When you take DJ, right? When you take the club scene, I don't think DJs are paid as well as I would like. Personally, I would say there are extremely talented DJs in the clubbing scene in Sri Lanka, and they are not paid what they are worth, which is so disheartening. However, when you take the underground industry, if you are someone who has worked hard, built your brand, developed a name, created some amazing music, then definitely it's an industry that has a lot of money in it. If you know how to place yourself, how to market yourself, and also market your music rather. You may have great music sitting in your computer and you may not know how to market it, right? So there is definitely a lot of music. There are artists in our community or in the underground community who earn up to more than 1.82 million just in a couple of hours. So it's a lot of money for sure, but that's also because they've worked really hard. There are artists who have been in the industry for over decades. So obviously they've kind of paved their way to that place in the community.
Now, obviously there are levels, right, in DJing, just like any other job, whether it's corporate, whether it's on the creative side. What are the levels and how do you climb up?
I don't think when you say levels,
or does it depend on the events that you perform for?
Yeah, okay, for example, let's say I think one way they measure it is seniority. Definitely seniority comes into play in a lot of instances, especially when, let's say, a lineup is being made. The seniority is one factor that they take into consideration when making a lineup. For example, the most senior DJs would be the ones playing at the peak times of that event. Another factor can be a DJ who's trending at the moment, right, in terms of popularity or brand image. And another thing would be obviously music, right? Because either their music is really good. There's different factors that vary, but I wouldn't put them at levels. See, you could break it down as two. DJs who are just starting up or DJs who have been in the industry for a long time. So seniority is in terms of how long you've been in the industry, and like I said, how familiar you are with the industry also.
So then when you get that whole seniority thing, are you sorted? Is there a way where you can lose your position if you don't maybe keep in touch with the events?
No, once you've kind of made the seniority place, yes, it can happen. There are some DJs it has happened to. For example, they grow broad and they kind of lose that touch with the community, but again, once they come back, everyone kind of remembers who they are. But also you can come back and play if you play bad music, no one's going to want to listen to you. So that's also there. You have to be conscious of what you deliver as a DJ.
And that's understandable, I think.
Yeah, I think it's common sense. If you play
with any profession.
Yeah, with any profession, if you do a bad job, no one is going to want to hire you again.
So for the people who want to navigate through, getting into this field, and let's say they like music, they want to do something with music, what are the other avenues they can go in? Maybe on the production side, because you said you had to obviously start with that, right?
Yeah. What other, like I said, just because you do production doesn't mean you have to be an underground artist. Like I said, you can get into movies, right? You can get into TV commercials, which there is also a lot of money in these industries. Like I know producers who do music for TV commercials. They earn really well as well, right? You can do various things. Like I said, there's so many different outlets. So like learning to produce is not just for one, like you don't have to use it only for one profession. You can actually diversify into many different professions.
So this is a
huge plus.
So this is an up and coming industry, you'd say, the whole
100%, because like I said, we've seen a huge surge in the numbers of people within the country who are actually turning up for these events. And you see people, even foreigners, that are actually, like when there are good artists who come into Sri Lanka, within the past few years, I think Sri Lanka has seen so many international artists coming in, right? They're actually flying these artists down. And these are massive artists internationally. So I think it's a huge ups for the Sri Lankan music scene that people are actually doing this. Because when you take comparatively, the number of pop artists coming in is like much less. I think the last good like let's say commercial DJ that we had was, I think, Alan Walker. And yes. I think he came in 2018 or something.
Yes, 2016 actually.
2017, 18, somewhere around that time. That was a long time ago, right? But we haven't seen any of those artists really coming to Sri Lanka. That's because there has been a shift in the type of music that people are listening to, and there's been a shift in the communities rather.
And obviously we need to evolve with the times as well.
Yeah.
Now, any future, like you said, you have a vision board. Now we are coming to the end of this year as well. Do you have a vision board for next year? What are some things that you would like to do next year? Or maybe a life.
Actually, I think those are, in terms of my music, I'm definitely producing at the moment, and I'm going to be releasing a couple of tracks, which I think have a very personal touch also, and I'm very excited for the world to hear it. But in another sense, I would say, like I said before, I'm qualified. I'm a go-getter, right? That's just me, and I hate doing one thing. I swear, sometimes I wake up in the morning, and if I have nothing to do, it kind of irritates me, and I get agitated. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. What should I do? Right?
I'm sure you're not a workaholic.
Maybe, I just don't know. Maybe, right? But I do have a lot of big plans, and hopefully you guys will see them soon. Yeah.
So again, you're going to perform internationally as well?
Yes, definitely more countries, and I would like to, within the next couple of years, an ultimatum of mine is to perform at a big international event like Burning Man or something big like that.
That's the
ultimatum. Let's see, fingers crossed.
Yes. And anything else? Like you said, this is not only hard for young girls, it's also still hard for young boys, whatever said and done, even if it's predominantly men in this industry. What is a piece of advice that you would give to someone that is starting up? Maybe something that you didn't know when you just started off, now something that you know because you've been in the industry?
Definitely, when you start off, get in touch with your production side, because like I said, it's very competitive now, not like back when we started. It's extremely competitive now. So if you kind of want to make your mark, you need to create a sound that's unique to you. Right? Creating music is creating a sound that's unique to you, and if you create something so unique that people are going to remember you by that. So that is a definite important thing.
Make your mark.
Yeah, which is make your mark, and also try creating your own music, because that's something I wish someone had told me when I started out. Yeah.
And when did you start making your own music?
The thing is, I haven't really released anything because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I keep going back and I'm like, no, it's not good enough. No, it's not good enough. But yeah.
But that's obviously why you're here, because you've, you put attention to every single
it's
detail.
Attention to detail, it's attention to your brand, it's attention to how people perceive you in a whole.
And now, since we did speak a lot about women, I want anything to young girls who have been told they can't get into this industry. I know it's not being told as much now, and we're sort of progressing to a better place, and like you said, more women are coming into this field. How do they, defy what is current society and go against it?
I do what you're doing and be the best at it. So when you do that, no one can really turn around and point a finger at you and say, oh, maybe you shouldn't do this. And like I said, just don't let anyone's opinion define you. Basically, be so confident, be so truthful to yourself, and also be passionate about what you do. If you're doing it to make money, if you're doing it to gain fame, if you're doing it to just that people would know you, please don't even bother, because you wouldn't last long. It's like you'll be like a soda bottle. You'll pop, your fizz will be there for a couple of months, a year max, and you'll disappear, right? Which is not something you would want if you're getting into it for the right reasons. But definitely, if any of y'all want to get into it, if y'all have any issues, any doubts, please do reach out to me, and I would love to help y'all out with it and help y'all maneuver through this industry, which is constantly changing and constantly evolving.
And that's great, having like a big sister in the industry.
Because like I said, I wish I had that.
Oh, because you didn't, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
And how was it navigating alone? I know you said you had connections.
So, see, this is the thing. When, like I said, there was some male artists, some organizers. Like I said, I had a personal connection. We were friends. So some of them were extremely supportive. Then you had the other lot who weren't. So I was grateful that I had support from them, because if I had a question, if I had a doubt, I could go to them. So that's why I said, like, for girls, if they don't have that person to go to, they could always come and ask me. So it's fine. I would help them.
And I think we've all learned a lot about even the technical aspect of this industry, which we don't really talk about, I think, because it's still new, right, in Sri Lanka. It's a very vital part of nightlife and everything, but I think it's still very new, especially when we think about the conservative nature of the people that live in this.
But I think there's a major, if you take the past 5 years, there's been a major mindset shift within Colombo and within Sri Lanka as a whole, right? Because back in the day, when we started attending raves, rather, there was a very minute ratio of girls to guys that you'd see at the event. But now, when you go to an event, it's so nice. You see so many girls, they come with their partners, some come with their brothers. There's it's nice, and they come with their friend groups. And I'm so glad that society here has evolved to give them that sense of freedom, or rather they are claiming that freedom, which is great.
And yes, I think it's also great that you have been, I'm sure, have been one of the reasons that so many women are now comfortable enough to sort of come into this field. Thank you so much for also offering to the young people out there who, want to navigate through this field. Maybe not only this field, like you said, there are so many other avenues.
So many other,
just
in general. If you need life advice, I'm your big sister.
Exactly. So, and thank you so much for all that you do and for being a part of this show.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed.
Yes, and just letting you know that what you have achieved, and I know you already believe in yourself, there's no reason for me to, but just know that what you have achieved right now, going against the norm, it's a crazy feat, and good luck with your future endeavors as well. And I hope you get to do those vision board activities.
Hopefully, new 2026 vision board is going to be bigger.
Yes, and hopefully it comes true as well.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being a part of the show. And we do this for you, so we value your feedback. Send in your feedback at feedback.atncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. But until then, next time, same place on Gen XYZ. We'll see you.